Hello and welcome back to the WTF Sunderland podcast. What a night! I'm joined by two people who may or may not have enjoyed the intro. I don't care if you don't. Dave, how are you, mate?
You keep introducing me first, and I keep going off and reading things on Twitter and getting an absolute buzz, and then forgetting to press unmute. Uh, how can you be anything other than exceptional, brilliant, delirious, fanatical, any other really, really big word that I don't understand the meaning of? I'm absolutely brilliant, mate. I didn't have as good finish to the night as you did, but you know, everything is very positive in my head right now.
I think the irony is Tom Grennan obviously sings the Gillette song. It's actually not Gillette the best that a man can get. It's actually Dan Ballard. But maybe that should have been a better intro, Pete.
There you
uh,
go.
Great night. Like, how are you
Lovely.
feeling? The
I'm
afternoon
I'm
after?
absolutely elated. I'm over the moon. It was wonderful. I mean, I've just got questions for the likes of yourself who were actually there. I was watching it here in Berlin, but phenomenal scenes. I mean, watching that on the TV, the pride that you have as a Sunderland fan, watching the way that the setup before, there was stuff with Monty, the stuff with the T4, which I think is one of the best ones I've ever seen. And then just, you know, when you look at the scenes at the end, there's a video doing the rounds of Wilson. Oh, I'll get this wrong now. It's Wilson, it's Chris Rigg, and it is Job singing Wise Men Say It to the fans. Now, I've cried over that video. But just phenomenal scenes, man, and all the stuff of all the fans and everybody who's put everything into it. And Dan Ballard, take a bow, that lad. Before these games, had he played half an hour of football in a long old time? It's a wonderful performance. It's a wonderful scenes, and I'm hoping you can fill us in what some of it was like actually being in the ground.
I mean, I actually didn't have the words for it. Like the pod's out now, and me and Ross said, "Look, we'll do something live, like we did at Wembley a few years ago, just in case this is like a big one." And of course, it was a massive one. But trying to sum it up afterwards, you can hear my voice breaks a bit because I was like tearing up. I think I cried twice. I cried at the Monty thing. I think it's just because like I'm a Sunderland lad, and I think like to have a stand named after you was just like it would be amazing. Like it's the dream beyond the dream of what he's already lived. But then, like the end of the game, look, the first question I've got wrote down here, Pete, I'll throw this at you. I experienced it in the ground. Me and Ross sat next to each other. You obviously experienced it in a different continent, well, a different country, sorry. But is Dan Ballard's header the best moment in Stadium of Light history? And if it isn't, what beats it? I've thought about it, and for me, I can't think of anything better.
Yeah, it's the for the stakes at risk, the technique shown, the 32nd minute of extra time in a playoff semi-final. Yeah, it's the greatest. It would have taken something like that to knock that Phillips goal against Chelsea or some of the Niall Quinn stuff that always sticks in my head. But
Defoe.
or beating the mags and all of that stuff that but yeah, that's the best. It's the best. It was at some point somebody has to try and work out physically how Dan Ballard does that, because the way he fall, because I think I've seen an interview. I think I've seen an interview. I know I was watching it. I definitely seen it. I don't know if I was listening to it properly, but where he's saying, "Oh, it's just got my technique wrong. I jumped too early, and that's why he has to get down because he's above the ball." But the way he does it is immense, and it's Dan Ballard heading a ball in that match against Coventry. It was always going to happen till the end, and he left it right until the very, very end. It just everything coming together, the branding of the match by the club, the performances that were put in, the pre-match, the during the match atmosphere, and the post-match, what it means, what it could mean. Yeah, that's the number one moment at the stadium, like as far as I'm concerned.
I just want to say the first thing I got this morning was a message of Copley saying, "Do you still not like the till the end, Brandon?" Look, I'll hold my hands up when I'm wrong, but had you told me it was going to be, yeah, the minute the ball crosses the line is a second before the very last minute of injury time and extra time. Um, yeah, we can keep till the end. I've allowed it. It'll be fine because it appears that it works really well. I honestly don't think there's a better moment than it. I'm incredibly lucky to have been at some incredible Sunderland moments. I've been incredibly unlucky to be at some of the really, really bad ones. And I think, and I'm honestly thinking off the top of my head here, the Canio 3-0 at their place, that'll stick in my mind forever. The last minute at Christmas will forever live in my mind as a fantastic festive period. The Man United game at Old Trafford when Bardo scored in extra time. They're maybe the only moments that can come close for me, and none of them were at the Stadium Light. If I think of Stadium Light moments, look, Sheffield United at home in the playoff semi-final, sorry, 98, clearly one of the best nights in Stadium Light history, but not as dramatic. More just, we're really good and we're going to beat you, by the way. Um, the Defoe against Chelsea was obviously massively meaningful, and that was such a loud day, afternoon, that actually, when you listen back to the highlights, it doesn't come across as well. It's almost like it's gone above the sound that a dog can hear because it's that loud. But for me, when that ball hits the back of the net, we get the piss took out of us a little bit because of that scene in Sunderland Till I Die where, the girl says to Ian, who's obviously sadly passed, why is it never us celebrating? And when it hit the back of the net, you kind of went, oh God, it is. Like, I'll hold my hands up and tell you, I am not a religious man. In fact, I'm quite the opposite. I'm probably quite a blasphemous man that prefers the book of Satan to the book of Jesus Christ. But like last night, I was praying to both. Whichever one's in charge, please just let Dan Ballard get on the end of this. And the lad next to me goes just before Mark. I sat next to Mark since Spurs at home opening day of the season. That's when I changed my season ticket seat, and I've been there ever since. And he went, we'll never score from corners. And he like winked. And I went, oh yeah. And it went in. And after the melee for about 2 minutes, he just went, never score from corners. But I don't think anything matches it. And I think it's quite easy to get involved in the emotion of the goal and what it meant the day after. But there's sometimes you'll see something happen and you go, I need to revel in this and remember it because that's not going to happen very often. And the only thing in terms of scenes that I've seen that comes anywhere close to was Bardo at Old Trafford. And that wasn't at the Stadium Light. I don't think anything's touched it. It's all four corners of the ground going absolutely scatty. And the wonderful part about it was the atmosphere was amazing. The fans never got on the team's back. And naturally, I worried a little bit because I know what nerves can do. I know what nerves can do to me. I can get more frustrated than I really should be at certain things. I felt all four corners of the ground kept with them, even when we conceded a goal. And look, let's be honest, all four corners of that ground, give or take one or two people going, oh God, this is not going to be our night. Dan Ballard said, I was starting to think it might not be our night and I want to give them a moment. But the fans never relented. And it was a mixture of like pride, passion, and all the kind of like the cliches that go with it, but also this kind of like unadulterated joy mixed with, oh my God, Sunderland have done a non-Sunderland thing. And then to be able to go onto Twitter and see Chef Wed fans, Leicester fans, Man United fans, whatever fans it may be, talking about how unbelievable it was. And like, I don't like the term limbs, but like they were saying like things like limbs of the season. Like, oh my God, what must it be like to be in that crowd? And to be like, I was there. Like, I'm working tonight. I'm working the Rangers Dundee United game, and I know for a fact I'm just going to sit down and be like, lads, I didn't watch the game last night because I was there. By the way, like it was a moment where Sunderland people saw what Sunderland were, and I think it's unbeatable. It's not able to be topped. Dave, I've just given a really impassioned defense of why this is the greatest Stadium Light moment. So I'd suggest you don't disagree with me at this point, but I'll give you your say. Is it the greatest moment in Stadium Light history?
Depending whose point of view you're looking at it from our point of view, absolutely. I would argue that Chris Maguire scoring a hat-trick against Lee Johnson for Lincoln, he probably felt just as good. I'm just trying to counterbalance it, you know what I mean? So
only Chris Maguire thinks that. I found it a funny moment. It was that was Sunderland. That was the Sunderland we're used to. Last night was not the Sunderland we like. I mean, yeah, I've had some great moments in that. Like, if I take out Sunderland, Bellingham against Slovakia, lost my head at that. Like, I grew ahead, I think, when Ballard scored. He certainly did, anyway.
If anyone, like I say, there's only really Chris Maguire who would understand that euphoria that the Sunderland fans had, because I think in that moment when he got that third goal and went running to Lee Johnson, I reckon he felt exactly like the rest of us did. Yeah, what can you say? We didn't have me and Pete didn't have the privilege to be there last night, but we were there in spirit. That's for sure. Pete,
So was Jimmy.
Yeah, well, he obviously didn't do enough last night. His spirit's obviously waning a little bit in it, and the salty tears that we're hearing from everywhere. It
By the
just makes
way,
it better.
the irony of me pretty much delaying any Jimmy Hill comment until 15 minutes into the podcast is not lost on me.
Very good, very good, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, but this is what it does to you, doesn't it? And like you say, I think the bit that you've surmised very, very well is this is just non-Sunderland. This doesn't happen to us lot. I said to a few people last week, I'm quite comfortable. The fact that we had something to cling on to from the first leg. I'd have took a 1-0 defeat down at Coventry. I'd have took a 2-1 defeat. I'd have took a draw. Absolutely anything, because I had a feeling that getting back to the stadium, like the atmosphere would be surreal. And 12th man, I don't even think it was just a 12th man last night. I think it was a 13th man as well. Because, yeah, everything that I saw, everything that I heard, all the live videos that I've now seen and stuff, just really, really special. And it does show you what this football club can be when everyone's aligned and when everyone's got forward momentum and so on. I've mentioned it a few times previously. There's not much that I give Simon Grayson credit for. I'm not even going to give him any credit, but the one thing that did relate to me in his tenure, and no, everyone's probably expecting, well, Dave, you're obviously going to talk about the flip chart in the auditorium. No, I'm not going to talk about the flip chart in the auditorium. It's the juggernaut, and if you can get it turned round and if you go in the same direction, it is special, and it is a wonderful football club. And we've been through so many years of hurt. I mean, we've been into a playoff final, albeit League One, got given a 1-goal advantage from them kicking it in their own net, and then
Oh God.
Yeah, exactly. That
Lost it in the worst
game.
possible way, and like I'll be honest, I messaged the two lads who did the preview show with Coventry, and I said that I was like, I know it hurts. Like I don't like I'll rub it in on the page, but just mute us for a bit or something. Like between yous, I know how that feels. Like I've been there actually at Wembley when it's gone in the 90, like the last kick of the game, and seen Johnny Williams celebrating a guy who was permo injured. Like I know every club's fan base will say they've been through the ringer, but there's not many clubs that have been through it like us. In my personal opinion, like in the last 10 years have been hard, Dave, mate, haven't they? They've been hard, man. And look, we've done out yet, but like for moments like that as a Sunderland fan base, I've always said like the support of Sunderland and why we support Sunderland is not really measured on success, because there's only really two ways to get success at the minute, and that's get a massive takeover, which is likely going to have to lead to your club losing its sense of community and its morals. And that's not a dig, that's just the way loads of clubs are. Like City are not the City that they used to be. You look at Manchester City very differently to what you look at in the 90s. So Sunderland winning the Premier League, yeah, probably not going to happen in my lifetime. So I'm aware it's about moments and stuff like that. And a lot of the moments over the past 10 years, even like the best ones, the one at Wembley, which I'd never exchange with Ross Stewart's goal and stuff like that, was hinted with, not tainted, sorry, it had an air of relief about it because of where we were. Whereas this one, like obviously it doesn't mean more because that meant a lot, but like the last 10 years of what I'm trying to say has been rough. Like I don't think you realize how much, Dave, at times, do you really?
No, absolutely not. And if I didn't have an air of pride, an even sense, a slight sense of justice from the football gods, then there is certain little bits, and you guys and Pete already mentioned it about the West Stand being named and the timing of it and the T4 and stuff like that. But I tell you what, do you want to know what's really nice? Excuse me. really nice.
Dan
Hearing
Ballard
little, well,
back.
apart from he's more than nice. That's godlike
Handsome.
after last night. But there's little bits of attention to detail that have like kind of come out, and I just think, God, we're doing that for us. We're doing that for Sunderland and where we want to be, all within the rules. Moving advertising hoardings, making sure that the away changing rooms are on 30 degrees Celsius. I
By
tell
the
you
way,
what,
we can't guarantee we know that, but we've heard from a relatively solid couple of sources that the changing room last night in Coventry's changing room was turned up to 30 before the gun. And bear in mind, it was 25 degrees outside as well. But ours had lovely air conditioning.
it's just that is not Sunderland. That is
No.
not Sunderland, or hasn't been in my lifetime. If anything, we're too honest, we're too nice, and other teams will have the dark arts against us, and we've had to put up with that plenty of times. Bring on Wilder and Sheffield United, isn't it?
Do you know what it is? But I'm sure this will change a little bit because of what it means. But I just wanted to get beyond Coventry, and then I know it goes in line with the famous song, but what will be will be. If we lose to Sheffield United, and this is not me making excuses early, but like they are a parachute payment team. I think they'll probably head in as favourites. They've been able to spend 20 million in January there because that's just the way the football world works, and that's not their fault, not at all. But there's part of me that is, am I confident? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I'm so calm about it. Like what will be with that. I've had one moment. I'm confident we can have two, but like getting past that and having a moment like that is for me what being a Sunderland fan's all about. But look, before the game, I was quite emotional, Pete, to be completely honest with you. And I seen there was a few people crying. I think Ross's little cousin's got a photo and he's been snapped and he's in tears with a flare in his hand, just watching the players come in. And I think, that's what football's about for loads of different fan bases. Knowing what your football club means to yourself, your family, your friends, and your city, and the people that are connected to it. It's part and parcel of everything that supporting a football club is, unless you do it for the glory, which, as I've touched on before, most fans of clubs don't do it for glory because of the way football works, unfortunately. But before the game, the Jimmy Monty thing was brilliant. There was a moment when the scoreboard went into the tunnel as the players were getting ready to come out, and you could see Ahmad like lurking with a little hat on, and everyone simultaneously just went Ahmad, and then there was a small ripple of feeling that the tifo was going to be just a big picture of Ahmad, and then we were like, no, it won't. He was here on loan. It's not going to be Ahmad. And then you seen JD come out and you've seen the unfurling of the tifo, the flares before going in, the naming of the Jimmy Monty stand, really, really emotional seeing Jimmy Monty coming out. I think it's his 90th birthday either this year or it just has been, or he's 90 this year, I think. I could be wrong with that, but I know it's a big birthday for him. But Pete, I was there to kind of encapsulate it and enjoy it, and a lot of people listening to that will be as well. Unfortunately, some people aren't as lucky like yourself for that kind of stuff, Pete. But being able to watch it on the telly as someone who's moved out of the area and seeing Sunderland at its finest, if we're completely honest with you, Pete, how did that come across on the TV?
Montgomery's 81.
Is he? Oh Jesus, I've aged him. Sorry, Monty, mate.
All right.
No, he's ageless. He's eternal.
Yeah, exactly. But Graham, look, there's plenty of moments, plenty of times that when I'm away and I'm having to watch it on TV or listening on radio or whatever, and I'd do anything to be there. But last night was really one of those where I was questioning a lot of my decisions of what led to me not being at the Stadium of Light. It was unavoidable, and alas, it is unavoidable. I'll be in China when the final's on, so I'll be finding somewhere to watch it there. Just fantastic, and it's a sense of pride that I get in where I'm from. And I've said before on here, I've lived outside of the UK longer. I've lived outside of Sunderland longer than I lived in it. I've lived outside the UK longer than I lived there. But it's still me home and it'll always be me home. And I'm incredibly proud of the city. I'm incredibly proud of the people and I'm incredibly proud of the football club. And last night, really, yeah, everything came together. Everything came together and it came together right. And it's a wonderful advertisement. And I think it comes across in, like you're talking about messages that you've been receiving and everything like that. I mean, this morning I've had messages, and as I'm sitting to you now, there's a lad who's a golfer in Spain who I'd knocked about with many years ago, who's just messaged us, German lad, plays golf professionally in Spain and is a teaching pro, and he's just said, can I get him a ticket? Because when he used to be at university in Sheffield, I was like, well, for a start, no. And for a second one, I wish. I've had messages from Durham, North Carolina. I've had messages from Atlanta. I've had messages from Istanbul this morning from people saying, hey, your lads did really well. From Brussels as well, from people who have paid attention to it. That result and the way that it looks, because there's branding and there's everything that goes with it. And this is the world that we live in now. It is a business. That went round the world. The videos, it was on every single show. Now I'm going to be on a TV program in China next week speaking about the richest game in club football, because it does get everybody in and it does get everybody's attention onto it. I'm immensely proud of all of those players. I'm immensely proud of everybody who was in the stadium, and I'm really proud of the city after seeing how it looked last night. I was a little dubious of the whole, like, let's go and meet the bus and go with it into the stadium. I thought they got it absolutely perfect. I thought they nailed it. I thought it looked fantastic. I was listening to the guys on BBC Radio in Newcastle while I was pottering about the garden. I wasn't. I was pacing about the garden before the match. And the way that you could hear what was going on in the streets outside of the stadium over the top of Benno, Barnsley and Gabardini and the rest of the lads and lasses on that show was phenomenal. And they were saying themselves, these were unprecedented scenes that we saw last night. And it just feels football's made up of moments, and sometimes it's a certain side, a certain nation, a certain club's moment. I think this feels like last night it was certainly our moment. I hope that's a moment that leads on to something bigger. I realize I'm getting myself into territory here where I'm going to start making predictions, and I don't want to, because I just want it to be I just want it to be Sunderland so much. It has to be Sunderland so much. I think those players, the group of players, deserve it. And I think nobody deserves a medal more than Leo Hjelde for apparently going and getting the beers in to take them down to in full kit, apparently going up to the bars. We've not had any proper confirmation of this, but enough people seem to have seen it and said it that it happened, that apparently Leo went up and grabbed some beers in full kit and took them down to the lads in the dressing rooms. Well, they've got to enjoy it. I loved Luke O'Nine's interview, actually, after the match. Again, second time I've spoken about the post-match Luke O'Nine interview, in which, well, two things he said. He was asked how the game went. He went, I couldn't tell you. The only thing I remember is Dan Ballard scored. And and yeah, and then he's talking about this, what it means to the club and everything like that. Those lads get it. There's enough in that squad that get it, what it's like, what it means to the fans, what it means to the club. And I think for too long we've had those players that haven't getting it, and now they really, really do. I'm over the moon. I'm a little bit. I don't know. I wouldn't be on here if I'd been on the if I'd been at the match last night. I don't know how he is doing it. I'm already in bits, and I was only watching on the telly.
By the way, Leo Yelder just doing it for the vibes. Just like what a boy. I think actually, you know what? We often kind of, it's almost tongue in cheek, the Leo Yelder stuff, but he does quite a lot when he comes on for that corner. He actually disrupts it quite a bit. If you watch him, he's kind of jostling a bit, and they're kind of like, there's a new body on the pitch here. What's going on? The weird thing about it is, are we assuming, Dave, that Leo Yelder would have took a pen?
That's what he's on for, Iceman.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way, doesn't it?
Imagine that, man. If we hadn't scored a penalty all season, but Leo Yelder twats one in the top corner.
That would have been interesting to know if he took the first one, wouldn't it?
Mm. Like, is he good at them? It's like all along as the penalty taker should have been Leo Yelder.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise you, would it? Who was it? Was it Spain or was it Germany who used to change the keeper?
Oh, it was Dutch. They used to bring on Jermaine Defoe's best mate. Well, Jermaine Defoe's biggest fan, Tim Krul.
Of course it was, yeah. Of course it was. I apologise to Spain and Germany for,
The Germans didn't need to change the keeper, did they? Let's be honest. The Germans were just really good at
There would be hell on if the Germans changed the goalkeeper penalties. Just don't live there. Yeah, it would be all that was talked about.
Unbelievable. I don't think it would have mattered who took a penalty last night. I think it was just destined to be. which is really, really, really unheard of to have had that air of confidence, as we've already alluded to, for how miserable the footballing gods have been against us over the years. But they say manifest something and it'll happen. You've already said it. That till the end slogan, and then to have scored in the last second. I mean, it's the phrase where you say you couldn't write it, but if you were writing the perfect fairy tale ending, that is it, isn't it?
When he
Oh,
celebrates,
Dave, as somebody who sent off many a script to many a commissioning editor, if I'd written that in, it would come back with the notes. It's a bit on the nose, isn't it? You know, it's a bit too, yeah, Love Actually. Can you maybe, yeah. So it is just proper fairy tale, man.
when you watch it back though, like, and again, I know I was like, oh, I wish they just changed the slogan a bit. Like, okay, fair enough. I didn't know the script, and I'm so thankful that they completely ignored, as they should, anything I've ever said. But when Ballard's celebrating and going wild, and you look at all the different pictures, the different people, and the players just go nuts, and then you see till the end just across the bottom, you're just like, it's like the marketing team must have just been like fist bumps all around it. It'd been like Anchorman, cigars, everything. Like 60% of the time it works every time. Well, 100% of the time it works every time. But I think one of the big things as well for me, we talk about community, our club, what it means to us. If we'd lost that in the last minute and it hurt the opposite way, because Coventry fans will be absolutely sick this morning. Like, I'm not going to lie to you, they are grim. Like, I know this because I've spoke to a few. They're not happy. And you wouldn't be. And you know what? Lovely lads as they are, we've had it before. Just, you're going to have to get on with it, unfortunately. Especially you, Frank Lampard. Better team. No, you won't. Um, 5 shots on target. Okay. I think when you're looking at the players who aren't from this area, Job is a Birmingham fan. Leo Yelder probably supports like I don't know Bran or something, and then you've
There's every
got
chance he might support Coventry, of course, because his dad played for them.
no, no, he's a Birmingham fan.
Oh no, Hjelde.
Oh, Yelder!
Yeah, his old man played for Coventry, didn't he?
Don't ruin Leo Yelder for me, all right? Stop. You forgot about that. He did actually, didn't he? Jon Olav Yelder, something to that effect. But
Something like that. One of those O's with a line through it.
one of the cool names.
Yeah.
I think that the players outside the area, look, Riggy, you could say Riggy'd been like a rich, I suppose, grown up, which he's not really grown up yet, but the likes of Riggy, there's a lot of people who maybe weren't born into a Sunderland supporting household across the board there. Simon Moore, who looked like he was in tears on the bench. Chris Mepham, who's got a Welsh family. I think he's born in England, so I don't know who he'd have supported. Players on the bench, Romain Mundle, who I'd assume was like a Spurs fan. Seeing them sing Wise Men Say, though, even the one that got me most, Enzo Lefebvre, who's been here 6 months, he reacted like I reacted. Like, you play for Roma, mate. Like, I love Sunderland and all that, but like Roma's pretty decent and pretty damn big. You've been here for 6 months and you celebrated that goal the way I celebrated it with all my 38 years of experience of supporting Sunderland. I think for me though, the big one, there was a man who we talked about off air beforehand, Kevin Ball, who is from as far away from Sunderland as you can possibly imagine, really, in terms of England. And we call him Mr. Sunderland because he is everything that Sunderland Association Football Club is about, and he represents us in the best possible way. And Kevin Ball, for me, is exactly what every Sunderland fan would ever want. And if you were too young to see him, trust me, Ball, he was absolutely brilliant as a man, as a captain, as a character. And I sometimes think there's another person that gets called Mr. Sunderland that gets a bit of stick, and we've always stuck up for him. But Luke O'Nien, this will be his fifth Wembley final with Sunderland. The fifth time he's been to Wembley with Sunderland, assuming there's no injuries or anything like that. Seeing what it means to him, a bloke from down south. Like, look, he's got a proper southern posh accent. We know this. Sorry, Luke, but you have. And to see him understand the club, fall in love with the club, become a Sunderland fan that he'd had no connection of before he signed here, through some of the worst times possible. Like, I remember him crying on the pitch with his headband on against Charlton. He's been punched by Pompey fans in the same season as that happened. There's a lot of things that Luke O'Nine's been through, and he continues to get criticism. And sometimes it's valid because, no one's perfect and all that kind of stuff. But for me, I don't know how many people have seen it. When he came out, I think it was with these two kids. I think it was these two bands.
That
It
was
was
what
with
I was
him.
I was putting my hand up to say, as I think that's his bands that he came out
Yeah,
for.
I think it
Rugby.
was. But when he
I mean,
came out though, Pete, most people won't have seen this. He stopped for a little bit because I'm Southwest corner. And when the players like running to go into their end, because we originally meant to be kicking the other way and Coventry switched the kick off, he sort of turned around with the two kids in his arms and he looked at the tifo and he kind of just like give that sort of nod, like I can't do because it's an audio podcast, but that kind of like smile on your face and you're kind of like, yeah, I am ready to go, 100%. Seeing what I'm trying to say is in a long-winded way, because I'm getting caught up in the emotion of just rubbish here, and because I'm tired, my ADHD's all over the shop. Me, seeing people from outside of the area who really shouldn't have a connection with Sunderland. You might think the likes of Joe Bellingham might see us as a stepping stone when he comes and all that kind of stuff. Seeing those players come what may that this summer, knowing that they will have Sunderland as an impact for the rest of their life. I seen David Connolly tweet today, and he said he got a new passport for his kid. Connolly was here a year, then he got like shamelessly dropped by Roy Keane. Love David Connolly, but he was here basically a season in terms of playing games, and he came on transfer deadline day, so he wasn't even here a full season really in terms of playing regular games. He said he's seen his son, he got a new passport for his 16-year-old son, and he's seen that the birthplace was Sunderland, and he said Sunderland will always be in my life. And the players that I've been lucky enough to interview over the years, Chris Macon grew up a red, Nicky Summerby definitely grew up a blue. To see people like that who had success at Sunderland and say like, oh, I love Sunderland. Like Sunderland just meant something to me. It was so important. And then, over the past 10 years, you've had your Rodwells, who probably is far away from your Kevin Balls that we mentioned as you could possibly have. I don't want to dig him out too much because I don't have any personal hate towards him, but Will Grigg was someone who never got it. Certain players came and went, and you just thought, this is a Sunderland I just don't recognise. Last night, come what may, you had a bunch of lads and a bunch of players who have got no connection to Sunderland from birth, outside of a couple, obviously Daniel and that. You'd expect it to mean a lot of them, and I'm so pleased for those players. But Job, Simon Moore, Ahmad Diallo in the tunnel, who's here on loan for a season, JD, who's got a long-winded relationship with like Spurs, West Ham, and all that kind of stuff. Seeing what it means to them is an example of what Sunderland Association Football Club can do to a person, even if they're not from that area. And for me, Luke O'Nien and Kevin Ball are the best two examples of that in the last 50-ish years. And I'm just so pleased that the players that have came and bought into what Sunderland are as a unit, as a club and a community, got probably the best moment of the modern era, Pete. I know I've rambled on a bit there, but like I think I'm making sense.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Amad Diallo plays for Manchester United and has a European final next week. I know this Manchester United may be, and this is from one of my mates who's a United season ticket holder, the worst that he's ever seen in his 40 odd years of watching them. But he still is a Manchester United player, and he, on his day off, is at the Stadium of Light to watch a club he played for, as you pointed out, on loan. Because it gets up. They've done that. I don't know how they've managed to get it right with certain players, or how certain players do latch onto it. But when they do, this should be a beacon to players and to agents and to those who bring through the development of younger footballers. That Sunderland is a great place to go if you're a young player. Not only are you going to get a game if you're good enough, you could end up being absolutely lionized and adored, and you're going to be in the shop window of the biggest clubs in Europe if that's what you want ultimately. And I'm thinking about the likes of Job in that, because that's a footballer that will not be at Sunderland in a few years, and it's going to kill me that he's not going to be at Sunderland in a few years, but I will enjoy watching him wherever it will be. And I have a feeling that Job will always have that link with Sunderland, like Diallo, like those players that you said. A lot of that comes down to the fans. a lot of it comes down to the fans. The club can get it very, very wrong, and in the past they have with who they've signed, but ultimately the welcome and everything like that comes with it. And I think a lot of it comes from that community that exists around the club that's actually outside of the club and away from it. It's the punters that pay the money that come through the doors. If you embrace Sunderland fans, you could become an absolute hero, a legend, a future Leo Hjelde. You can't. There's something about Sunderland, and every club has its heroes, has its legends, has its the one that might not have been the greatest footballer, but always give his best type player. There's something different about them at Sunderland, and you've got Josie Altidore tweeting all last night through the match. Which it just kept popping up on my feed there. I don't follow Josie, but best of God, love him. Send the tweets there. You mentioned Connolly there as well. He was only there for a year. They're a beautiful football club, and when you get it, if you buy into it and you put in the performances that are needed, because you can't just be fantastic. There's a level of commitment that has to be shown on the pitch, and those players have shown it to get them here, particularly. Proven the likes of myself wrong, who said that you couldn't flick that switch from 5 consecutive defeats and turning it around in the playoffs. Brilliant. Just absolutely love it. I think, look, I don't want to talk about transfers because we're not up yet and it's not there yet. But I think who they come to look at in the summer, they've done a brilliant job of advertising the club, of advertising the football club in the region and the city as a place that you can buy into as a footballing place, and that can't do you any harm of good, and it's only going to get you the right type, bringing in the right type of players. And you have to give credit where credit's due to the recruitment team, that some of the players that they've brought in, the ones that have worked perfectly, but it's going to make their job easier in those conversations that they're going to have with players they want to get in, going, look at what Joe Bellingham's done. Look at what Enzo Lafay has done while he's been here. And granted, if I never see Enzo Lafay play a left wing or having to chase back a right winger, I'll be happy as can be.
By the way, we're 90 minutes away from Enzo Lafay on a perm.
It's an expensive match, isn't it? That's going to be the first thing that comes through. I was doing some for a bit of work I've got next week. I have to find out about. I was just doing a quick research about how much money you actually get from the match and the promotion things. And part of me was going, is it 20 million euro? We've got to find
20 mil. Yeah.
20 million euro. Okay, well, I think you get a $250,000 over the first $250 million. I beg your pardon, over the first 3 years. Whether
$250 million.
$250 million over the first 3 years, which rises to around 400,000, just over 400,000. Well, I'll get it right in the end. 400 million over 5 years. It's you get more money for going up through this than you do for winning the Champions League, for winning the Premier League, for winning the World Cup. It's the richest game in world football because of everything that goes with it. And when you look at those clubs that have been able to get up into the Premier League and stay there, I'm thinking about your Brightons, Brentfords, even. If you can get there and stay there, it changes who you are as a club. And I've got some good mates of mine, colleagues that I work with, who are Brighton fans, and for them to be able this season, and I'm getting way ahead of myself here, but for one of the lads just put in his holidays for the whole year right at the beginning, and it was all just so we could go and watch every game in Europe for Brighton. And these type of things are far in the future, but that starts with a Dan Ballard goal in the 122nd minute. That could be a catalyst that leads you to me having to translate for the lot of you dossers around Berlin when we're playing Hertha or Union.
By the way, you talking about Dan Ballard, right? What a specimen of man. I don't want to get homoerotic again like you did with Seth Larson, but wow.
Like he is carved from marble.
Someone said the Roman Empire used to make statues of men like him, and I was like, oh, you've summed it up perfectly. I don't know who tweeted that. I think it was Harry Macbeth. I don't know. He tweets some quite funny things, to be honest. And he put that out, and I was like, yeah, Dan Ballard is a man that tends to get carved out of stuff. Look, the final bit.
I will say, when he went tops off, my first reaction was, no, he's been booked, hasn't he? Big Dan,
oh, no, he hasn't.
No, he hadn't. I thought Big Dan was missing the final because he'd gone tops off.
One thing I really want to point out, by the way, like, I didn't really want to touch on it because I don't really care. But Dave talked about it before, like the kind of slight bitterness coming from Coventry, as if like they were the underdogs and they were amazing. And Regis Labrie deserves a hell of a lot of credit for the size of balls that he had to say, no, no, if we defend, we'll be all right. We'll be fine because they're going to struggle to open us up. And that somehow translated over the two legs to, oh, well, we were the better team because we passed it about more.
They
In
let them
the
have, we let them have a load of possession that they didn't do anything with. We had our best player, our best midfielder, I'll put it down there, as a defensive midfielder who's Job could have gone into that match, say, although these two legs going, I'm going to do everything I can going forward, play for myself and get myself a move away. He's unattractive, wasn't the, he's not going to get the headlines, but he was brilliant over those two games. His defensive work was phenomenal. And I think that it speaks to the tactics of Regis Labrie. It speaks to the trust that the players have in him, that they can go, take it a bit easy, Job. You're going to come back. You're going to stay a bit further. You're going to stay deeper, and you're going to defend a lot more in these games than you would do usually. I thought his tactics were superb. Sometimes you've got to, so that's what's needed. And right, well, let's move on from the dark art side of it. But I was also very pleased to see them getting involved with some of those as well, because as you mentioned right at the beginning, Graham, we've been on the receiving end of those for years. It's nice to be dishing them out every now and again, and I think Reggie deserves a lot of credit for all of that, and the backroom staff as well, because I thought there was some moments there where you saw Proctor giving some like little team talks, trying to get people G'd up and everything like that. This is final few minutes, lads, get the push going. Very happy with the coaching staff, and everybody needs to take great credit from last night.
I just want to point something out as well. The narrative that, Sunderland are this massive club and Coventry came in as the underdogs and we were terrified of Coventry and they were brilliant. I think some people have forgotten how much our team cost to assemble. Like, I just want to go through the starting lineup. Pat All free, Trey Hume 250,000, Luke O'Nien 250,000, Dan Ballard 2 million, Dennis Serkin, I believe, 1 million. Roberts, I believe, was free or give or take. Dan Neil Academy. Bellingham, 3 million. Okay, Enzo Lafay is different. He would cost us 20 million. So let's assume he's a 20 million pound player playing out of position. Mayenda, 700,000. Wilson Isidore, 3.5. If you look at the Coventry team, Radoni cost 5 million. Sakamoto was 2.5. Haji Wright was 7, rising to 9. And Matt Grimes was 4 million. So this idea that Coventry were like plucky, like little underdogs that came from 17th under a manager who, like Frank Lampard, by the way, realistically is a big name manager that should be able to, navigate the kind of atmosphere we created last night and things like that. Through those two games, there was 5 shots on target. And look, I don't need to have sour grapes because we won. I don't care. But the narrative that we thought we had it won in the first half, and Coventry in this and Coventry that, and what we're on our way back. Sunderland have been in the Championship for 3 seasons with a bunch of players that cost under £1 million up until very, very recently. We just basically let you have the ball, done a job on you, scored goals when we needed to score them, and beat you. So like, just suck it up, get on with it. The same way that we do. Stop crying about it, calling us anti-football and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, no such thing as anti-football or pro-football. And if there is such a thing as anti-football and pro-football, Coventry City are not the epitome of like wonderful football. There's a reason we put our hoardings in to stop you from taking long throws. So what I'm trying to say, shut up your arse. We beat you. Just deal with it. Moving on to the final and moving away from people who are not going to be in the final. Sheffield United, Dave. Couple of questions we've got from I was going to say the fans, the listeners. Whoops, the mask has slipped.
But
Please
millions
unsubscribe.
and millions.
Please unsubscribe.
Can we also just say that the best period of football over the two legs
Last
was
15 minutes.
the last 15 minutes, and that was because we played a little bit deeper with the extra centre forward, getting in the 10, getting that extra man in midfield, and the pass and the movement. If you see Labrie from the Sky cameras just before, you see him indicating pass, move, triangles, and Mundell arguably should have scored. Should have scored before that. I mean, the creation
it was right in my eye line. It was going in. It's a really good block.
The creation of the chance was absolutely fantastic. It epitomises what we're so good at. And yeah, going on to Sheffield United, we will get the opportunity to play football like that more. And I love the narrative. Please keep it up, everyone. Coventry, keep crying about it for the next 10 days. Please keep up the narrative that Sheffield United will be licking their lips and rubbing their hands, blowing kisses our way at the prospect of playing against us next Saturday. I don't want to be favourites. Bring it on. Can't wait.
Me either. I couldn't be calm about Wembley because I said it this morning. It's actually Ross who did the first preview show. He's like, "Are you looking forward to the final? Or are you nervous about it already?" I think it's become quite clear over these last few months that I'm a very emotional person, and I speak about my feelings on a podcast like a true 40-year-old man. I think I'm going to be there with the people that I love and like the community that I get along with, and something that means a lot to me. So like I'm calm. I've got that day regardless. And if we lose, yeah, I've been at Wembley before and seen us lose. It is what it is. If we win though, woohoo, that'll be all right. It'll be a nice night. That I might actually go and book another holiday back to Portugal. Like sun myself up when I get back. Yeah, because I'm off on holiday from Saturday. Fantastic. I've timed this perfectly. But I've got a couple more. Actually, I'm going to go with one more because I think this is a great question because we're going to do the preview. I'm trying to rope Sheffield United folks into it to get a preview before going away on holiday, so you have it nice and early. But Dave, I'll stick you with this one, and I'll ask the same question to you, Pete. So you just come straight after. Given how effective we looked with the front two against Sheffield United on New Year's Day, do you stick with that formation for the final, or do you look to accommodate Lafay in the middle and Mundle starting wide? And I'm going to give you actually my opinion first, right? I'm going the middle five. I know the 4-4-2 worked, but for me, assuming there's no injuries, I go Pato, back four of Hume, Ballard, O'Nien, Sirkin, Leo Yelder for vibes later on. Your middle three, Daniel Deep, Job in the sort of eight, Lafay the 10 or the most advanced. Your left wing for me would be Mundle. I think Mundle makes just a massive difference. I said this before when some people were saying, has things gone bad since Mike Dodds has been sacked? Is that where it's gone? Since he went to Wickham, is that where it's gone bad? Look at the time when Romain Mundle got injured for Sunderland for a period of time, and look at the results because Mundle's a massive part of this team and the way it plays in the football club. This is going to kill me because I love him. I love him more deep than anything on the planet, but I go Chris Rigg on the right. I go Chris Rigg on the right, and I go Eliza Mayenda because he hates Sam Fender mainly up front, and also because he's really good. But that would be my team for Wembley.
Yeah, I find it really hard to argue. It's great knowing that we have that 4-4-2 in reserve. Actually, quite nice to have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. So I think I'd struggle to argue that team, to be quite honest. I definitely think it has to be Mayenda up top, just based on he holds the ball so much better than anyone else we've got. Honestly, I can't believe his improvement, if I'm quite honest. Eliza Mayenda, he's just been a joy to watch for me. Lafay, we know he can unlock people round that corridor and kind of in behind, and he'll always try and look for the clever pass. Ballard, it just makes the spine of your team really strong. It's fantastic. But it's good to have options, I guess. It would be lovely. Mundle made such a difference for me when he came on, so I think that's brilliant. But I don't know about you, Pete. I don't know where you go with formations, starting 11.
Ordinarily, I would. I mean, I'm sitting wearing a T-shirt with his face and name on it, and I've got a huge soft spot for Wilson Isidore. I thought last night after he had the collision with the goalkeeper, he did catch a knee on his knee, and I just think he was a little off the pace after that. So, yeah, I think you have to start Mayenda. Mayenda up front is dangerous. And for you to say it, Dave, that you're surprised at how he's come along, because you were one of those adamant right at the beginning that he's going to become class. He's going to become class. I held my hands up on the last podcast I was on. I got it wrong. He is a hell of a footballer, and he strikes fear into their hearts, you know. And I think if any team come up against him running at you, you've got to play deeper, because if you push up and he has space to run, you're screwed. Similarly, I would have Mundell on the left because of the options he gives you, the pace that he has. But ultimately, that's going to come down to how strong his hamstring is, how recovered his hamstring is. I'm going to play Lafay in the middle because that's where I want him. I'm going to play Job behind him, and I'm going to play Dan Neil behind him. And on the right, Graham, I'm going with you. I'm going with Chris Rigg because, yeah, I think it needs. I think Riggy will give you something there. And I'm all equally as conflicted about doing that because I think Patrick Roberts has been a fantastic servant of the club. But if he has a calf injury, and if it is the way things are going at the moment, I'd stick Rigg in there. I think your defence, Stan Ballard and Luke O'Nien in the middle, Serkin and Hume at fullbacks and Pato and goals. There we are. I think we're all kind of in agreement on how we say that, right? I would love to see, and I think Wilson Isidore coming off the bench is a fantastic option for you to have, and they can switch it around to make it 4-4-2. But yeah. To start the match, I want to start with the 5.
Do you think that the likes of Gucci and Ahmad are going to be in the away end? The Wembley end at Wembley.
Absolutely.
Gucci's there, isn't he?
Gucci's there. I think you're going to see Pickford. I think you got. Well, let's have a look. I don't know how the Premier League. And you're going to see quite a few of them. I think the club themselves, they're not daft. There's some very, very smart PR people who they've brought in. I don't think they've got everything right, but when they're getting it right, look at that till the end stuff, they get it very right. I think there'll be some invites sent around to people because they can see what we like. Graham, are you picking us a winner there?
I'm picking me nose, mate.
I know I can see. Listeners, just to paint you an audio picture, and oh god, he's held it up to the camera. I mean, he was up to the knuckle in his own nose there, right down the barrel, ladders. I think we'll see a big collection of former favourites in the stands, and I think they'll continue with this because if Hummel coming on side had showed us one thing, we bloody love the past, don't we, Sunderland fans?
Because we can't accept change. Yeah, we like that.
Not like change.
A club is nothing without. A club is nothing without.
90s again.
A club is nothing without its history, though, is it?
No, absolutely. You're completely right there, Graham. And do you know, I've loved it, and I can't think of better kits to be in to end the season. I can't think of a better group of players that we've had in a long time. Yeah, I think I'm with you there as well, Jay. I am quietly confident in handing it over to the universe for the final. It's they've done me proud, they've done the club proud, they've done the fans proud so far to get them here, and yeah, it'll be taken care of one way or the other. But I'm fairly confident.
Yeah,
you're talking about corporate tickets and stuff, and getting the likes of Pickford there and stuff like that. I reckon Sunderland's 5th best podcast, if anyone's listening, if we could have a little section, I mean, former contributors as well. We love you, Lee. We love you, Brad. If we can have +1 as well, obviously Pete can't make it, but we'll take Pete's dad under our wing.
A good time to be a Sunderland fan, and it hasn't always been like that. We've been incredibly lucky that there's been some pretty decent times to be able to record on that podcast. We'll do a Wembley live podcast. I'm sure the other podcasts will. Tune in to all of us. Listen to all of the Sunderland content you can today. Every single one that's there. The ones you like, the ones you don't like. Just listen to all of it. Enjoy it. Yep. Embrace it. And let's get to Wembley. And let's just see what happens. And if it happens, enjoy it. Pete, Dave, thanks very much.
Thanks for having us.